have an opportunity here that I don't get very often where I'm with my dad right now and we are on a camping trip in Ouray, Colorado. Beautiful scenery as you can see around here. And this means that we have his fifth wheel RV here. This is a 2021, I believe, Keystone Cougar 364 BHL. So a big 40-foot fifth wheel RV, and we're gonna go through all of these steps to get set up at your campground in a fifth wheel RV, including with a gooseneck connection here that my dad has. He has the Reese goose box for his fifth wheel connection here. So we're gonna go through all of the steps to know with setting up your fifth wheel RV at your campsite when you arrive. If maybe it's your first time or you are just making sure that you didn't miss any steps to set up your RV right, we're gonna go through all that. So come on, let's go. What's up, y'all? I have a unique opportunity right now where this might be the only camping trip I have anytime in the near future that I can see, especially since I have a baby on the way and it is Megan and I's first baby. That is going to definitely put a halt to some things that we had planned. So I have this camping trip right now with my dad planned, and I thought this was an excellent time for showing the complete setup process with a fifth wheel RV specifically, including like detaching the hitch and just getting all of camp set up in a fifth wheel RV. So we're gonna go through all of the steps here, and this is kind of unscripted and unplanned, but we've been camping for well over a decade in RVs, so hopefully we don't miss anything. And if we do happen to miss something that you think is really important or critical to the setup process and getting set up for camp, let us know down below in the comments as well for the viewers watching. But we're gonna give you a full walkthrough course here of everything that we do to get our fifth wheel RV set up, including the back-end process right now where we got a spotter backing him in. I'm being here completely useless, just doing nothing. So I'm gonna help out a little bit and we're gonna film this whole process. So when you pull up to your campsite, one of the first things you're gonna wanna identify is where your electrical hookups are, where your campsite setup is gonna be and stuff like that. So like we have our electrical hookups right here on this side, and my dad already kind of just started backing in without taking that into account. And we want to make sure that he gets further over to this side when we're backing up, because when we come over here to the campsite, you can see right now, like there's not a whole lot of room over here with where the electrical box is for the site next to us and the picnic table. Like we want to leave more room over here in this space. So already kind of failed on the approach here. So take note of that and be aware of these things before you start your back-end process, because it's going to make it harder if you start off incorrectly and then have to correct all these things after the fact, which is what we're kind of doing right now. So we had to pull out of the spot, completely restart, and we're going to get a new approach angle coming in here so that we can get a better alignment in this spot. It's also worth noting, if you have a bigger fifth wheel RV like this, if pull-through sites are an available option, that's always going to be the easiest way to get into a site. This is a back-end site, which is always a little bit more difficult. All right, you're coming a little too sharp. Having a pull-through site will always be the easier option versus like a back-end site with a big fifth wheel RV like this. But at this campground, we just didn't have the option for a pull-through site. So that's something you can always look for as well if you want to have an easier time with getting set up. Oh my gosh. You can see like this rock we cannot move. See how close we are. So it's tough. And then as soon as he gets past that rock, then we got to turn hard, get back into this space and get it all straightened out. So it's going to be a real hard turn to straighten out in these last couple feet. And we did it. That was a little bit more of a hassle than it usually is, but nonetheless, we did it. Took 3 spotters. Now, there's certain things you want to do in a particular order, and then some things that they don't really matter the order that you do things in. So we're plugging in the RV first, and specifically really just trying to make sure that the power cord is going to reach the electrical box, because that's always something you can run into these issues where you might only have a 15-foot or 25-foot cable, and you might be further away from that, especially with a big fifth wheel, from your electrical box. So in this instance, we're fine here, but this is sometimes where you might need an adapter for certain spots that you hook up your RV at, because you might need up to 50 feet of power cable sometimes to reach your electrical box, depending on how you're situated in your site. But here we're good. So we're hooking up the power first, making sure all the power is onto the RV, and then we're going to go through our steps here to get this set up. Step number 2, use the restroom, because you've been on the road for a long time. I'd be curious too, just for my own amusement and then for the viewers watching too, do you have any stories of times where you as a RV owner have maybe really done something detrimentally wrong in your setup or takedown process with the RV, or just any, really moments that you're not too proud of, but are things that we all go through with RVing? If you have any experiences like that, share them down below. We would love to have a good laugh, and every one of us that owns RVs have definitely made mistakes. More times than we probably even want to admit with our setup and takedown processes and stuff like that. So if you have any stories like that, share them down below. So the next step is going to be chalking the wheels. There's a couple things you want to know when you're going into chalking the wheels, where like with us right now, we're on a pretty flat level surface. That's not always going to be the case though, wherever you are at. Now, most fifth wheel RVs, they're going to have a auto leveling system on them. So that is something where that auto leveling system is going to do a lot of your majority of the work for the RV with leveling it. But you may also want to get leveling blocks for underneath the tires here. Now, again, we're on a pretty flat surface, so we're not using those at all. But there are instances where we might throw leveling blocks underneath the wheels as well, just to assist with the auto leveling system, so it's not having to do too much, because especially with an electric auto leveling system, we don't really want it trying to like lift the entire RV up off the ground. So we have the wheel chocks right here. These are going to kind of just keep the wheels in place, and we'll do that on both sides. And if you're on more of a slope surface, you might want to put blocks in front of or behind the wheels. In addition to that, you might want to do both. But again, with us just being on a flat surface here, it's not too much of a worry there. So this here will do the trick with keeping us stable and in place. So on the stairs too, before we get hopping inside, we have these steps here that can be dropped down really easily because they don't make contact with the ground. But the steps up inside here, which this door is locked, they're the solid steps that drop down. You've seen them on a bunch of the RV reviews that I've done. You don't want to take those out yet because there's going to be some height adjustment to the RV, and you can damage those steps with them just not being in the proper position they need to be for when this RV is fully leveled and in the correct spot once we've dropped the hitch and all these different things. So leave those stairs up in the door until we've kind of got the RV disconnected and the stabilizer legs down, things like that.
Because these drop down, but your motors only have like 3 inches of travel. So you really got to think about how low you want to drop these. If this thing was pitched to where this front end had to come down a lot, you wouldn't want to bring these stabilized, like you would want to leave enough room so that you can let the front end come down after you disconnect it.
That makes sense.
So you just have to think about that stuff. Like, we're pretty level here. So like Sam's just done, we're just going to drop it down right in front of the block, raise it up, and then actually we are pitched, kind of looks like we're pitched
down just a little bit towards the back.
The back is down. So we do need to be able to go down, Sam. So we need to raise that up a bit. Raise that up a bit so we'll have room to be able to go down. I would say, yeah, that's probably good.
Visible holes.
10 visible, including the half one on the top, or no?
10 visible
1, 2,
holes.
3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Did count the half one up at the very top? Okay.
There you go.
All right, there we go.
So for our hitch setup here, we're using the Reese Goosebox, pretty dang popular hitch setup here to go with a gooseneck attachment to a ball in the truck. So my dad's gonna give a rundown here on how we disconnect from this.
So we need to, before we try to lift it up, we gotta pull this lever back so it'll allow the ball to pull loose from or allow the gooseneck to come loose from the ball. So it's gonna reach in there. Climb in.
Stretch.
And just pull on this guy, latch it like so. And then we also need to climb in and undo the safety chain. You can toss it back here to me.
Make sure you unplug your power at the bed of the truck there.
Let's go. Fifth wheel up off the truck.
All right, so now we're all good to go, and we can lift the fifth wheel up and get it detached. So pretty simple and self-explanatory here. You just have your electric controls here for the stabilizer jacks or the leveling jacks, however you want to classify them. And we're gonna get this up off of the hitch, and then we'll be able to pull the truck out and get the truck out the way.
Clear.
Always good to have a spotter here, make sure everything's clear. Pulling past the fifth wheel. Yep, you're good. These are tasks that you can do by yourself. My dad has set up this fifth wheel RV by himself before, but the more spotters you have and the more help you have, the more efficiently this goes and just the less likelihood there is for error. And while he's moving the truck, I'll go ahead and drop these legs down because I know that it needs to come down quite a bit. So I'll just go ahead and drop it down. We're definitely slanting towards the back. Let's see, I haven't used this system all too much, so these are the front legs right here, and then we want them going down. Maybe I should let my dad do this. I'm gonna mess it up, y'all. I've not messed with this system the same way he has. And that's one of the funny things about RV ownership as well, is it's like, yeah, I own my own RV and I've made tours of these RVs for the past 6 years, but there's certain pieces of equipment that come on different types of RVs that you don't really get to fully understand how it all works and just really have a good grasp for it until you kind of just got into doing it and using it yourself. So I'm gonna let the master over here, my dad, take care of that.
Push the front button will take
Okay.
the front ones up and down. This one has I have to put it into manual mode for whatever reason to move the rear. Actually, I don't need to do that for this. I'm gonna retract these and go.
Oh, okay. So you just hit the retract button.
Yeah.
That's what it
You want
was.
to lower the front first?
That's what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
So the retract button will allow those to retract down and get this leveled. I should have known that, y'all, but sometimes I second guess myself and I don't want to mess anything up.
I can tell.
Yeah.
You can just.
That's what Megan and I do too. We just have someone stand inside the camper and you can tell if it's level or not. You can get all this different leveling equipment. I actually bought some leveling equipment for my RV and I haven't used any of it because we just eyeball it and then we step inside the RV and see if it feels level or not. And if it doesn't, we go make some tweaks and then keep going. So that's how we go about doing it. You can get some high-end leveling equipment if you want. And then obviously we have auto leveling on here as well. So we just try to get it as close to level as we can. And then we'll use the auto level function to get the last, 5% or so. So my dad is saying this has never been a problem for him, but this is something that we definitely recommend in the RV world, to have a surge protector here at the electrical connections. A lot of these parks will have pretty good electrical, but you just never know. So to protect the wiring on your RV, you probably want a surge protector. My dad just likes to live life on the edge over here. And he is a mechanical engineer, so.
It has fuses and breakers and stuff, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna blow a fuse, worst case.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done my deep dive research into what happens if something goes wrong and you don't have a surge protector, but my dad living life on the edge without one. Next step is getting the water hooked up, so running it through the bottom here.
I do have a pressure regulator, so that's.
Has a water pressure regulator on there on the end. You don't have a 90-degree elbow, so you just have all that sag on your water outlet.
Yeah. Got direction. Don't have an elbow, that is true.
Yep. My dad needs some equipment here, apparently. He needs some parts and accessories. He needs to take a trip to Blue Compass RV and get in their parts and accessories department. Because if I was him, I would have.
That's a pretty natural bend there.
That is a pretty natural bend. The argument is you're just creating some tension here on this spot that could cause damage over time. So having a 90-degree elbow here is good, or a 45-degree elbow. And then he doesn't have a water filter on here. This is because we don't drink out of this water at all. It's just to have sink water to do dishes, essentially. So having water filters and a shower. So having a water filter is not super essential for us, but that is something that on my RV, I have a water filter just as a provision. And it's not essential to have it, but it is definitely something I'd recommend. But I kind of like that this video is going this way because I didn't even know that my dad doesn't have some of this stuff that I have got for my RV. but he's been camping like this for over a decade and hasn't had any issues with not having this stuff. So it goes to show some of these things that you feel like you might need, you may end up in a situation where you need it, but you also might be just fine without some of these things that are sometimes deemed as like essential or must-haves for the RV.
Eyes in there?
Yo, it was bad.
They're all dead.
So now the steps can come down, now that everything is kind of leveled and stabilizers are down. Another thing you can be aware of, this isn't going to be an issue for us or anything, but you can see the slide out is going to come out into this tree. So when we close that slide out to leave, we're just going to want to check and make sure that no like branches get stuck in there or anything preventing it from closing up all the way. But won't be too much of an issue. But as you're setting up, you just got to be really aware of your surroundings and just kind of think about all these things. And so I kind of feel like to be an RV owner, you can't really be a mindless person because there's a lot of stuff that you got to think about and you got to factor in, and so many different things you got to be aware of. You got to be pretty well, you know, mentally, I don't know what the right word would be necessarily. You just have to have good mental awareness on what's going on and what you're doing. Because there's a lot of things to think about. Here, and push the slide out.
Keep going. You're good.
You're good.
You're good. What's that? Sure.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Stop. Hey, how much more can I go?
It's got about another, probably like 6 inches, 3 inches. So we have a tanked water heater here.
Let me get my tool. Hold on, go in here. So I drained it, so I just leave the anode out when I drain it. And so the anode needs to go back in.
This is definitely not something you'll do on every trip, but like, why did you drain the water heater?
Well, you always drain it after. I drain mine after every trip just to get the water out of it.
Oh, see, never mind.
I don't store it with water in it. I get all the water out of it.
I actually didn't know you needed to drain the water heater.
Yeah, because the water gets gross in there.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I just figured you'd kind of run it out the next time you use it.
Is that a Jackson chain?
And then, so right now I have the water heater bypass. So I'm gonna open this valve here. The pressure relief valve. When I do that, it's gonna let water start flowing through the water heater into the water heater. So there we go. You can hear it. So it's flowing in there. It's filling up.
Got it.
So when it gets full, it's gonna start squirting out the pressure relief, and I'm gonna close the pressure relief. That's how I get it full.
Got it. Yeah, so what he was just saying is you need this valve open so that the air in the tank can go out. If you have that closed, it's just not going to fill the tank because there will be air in the tank and it won't have anywhere to release.
It wouldn't have anywhere to go so you'd have to go like open up a hot water faucet. You could do it that way too.
That makes sense.
But leaking water out, so it's full now. Just close that.
And now we're good. And then because we do want to shower, it's coming in here to turn on the water heater.
Right there, just lets you select electric. Lets you select gas, electric. I always just, since we're plugged in here, I'll use their electricity instead of my gas and put it on electric.
Yep. But you could use both at the same time too if you wanted to heat it up quicker. That is an option with a tanked water heater. And then we're pretty close. We're almost fully hooked up. I don't know, do you want to hook up sewer lines? Or just let the tanks fill?
Yeah, we'll just do that
When we need to.
when we need to.
Yeah, that's how I do it too. I do it the same way. I don't always connect my sewer lines right when I get to the campsite because there's not any need to drain water anytime soon. So that is something we'll do at some point in time, but just not right now. Other than that, we're kind of all set up now. Now it's just a matter of getting comfortable here in the space, which doesn't really require any sort of know-how. And that's the basics, like basic, very beginner 101 with very little resources here. I mean, using wood blocks for stabilizers there and so many different, very at-home DIY type of materials here to get the camper set up, but pretty simple and straightforward. So if you get to this point, you're pretty much ready to start camping and you can just enjoy the rest of your trip. Bye.